Dawn broke over Kenya's Samburu National Reserve, casting a golden dust over the arid plains and thorny acacia bushes. The early sun wasn't as scorching as midday, bringing with it the tranquility of a waking world. Amidst this scene, Kale, a wildlife photographer with salt and pepper hair and hawk-like eyes, waited in silence. Kale had spent over 20 years of his life documenting Africa's raw beauty, especially the leopard, the hidden lord of the savannah. Kale wasn't just a photographer, he was a storyteller through his lens. He believed that every animal, every landscape had its own unique tale, and his mission was to capture those stories as authentically as possible. He didn't use camera traps or disturb the animals. Instead, he patiently hid, observed, and waited for the perfect moment. He had a special ability to sense an animal's presence, and he often said it was a gift nature bestowed upon those who truly listened. Among the leopards Kale tracked, one particular female fascinated him. He named her Nyx, meaning night in Greek, because her spotted coat seemed woven from silent patches of night, and her golden eyes gleamed like stars. Nyx was a solitary leopard, rarely seen, and incredibly cautious. Many other photographers had given up trying to photograph her, but Kale hadn't. He felt an invisible connection between himself and Nyx, a resonance of solitary souls. One afternoon, as the sun began to dip, painting the western sky crimson, Kale was driving his familiar Jeep on a less traveled dirt road. He was searching for traces of a gazelle herd when he suddenly noticed a strange scent in the air, a pungent smell of blood mixed with burnt grass. A strong intuition told him something was wrong. He stopped the car, turned off the engine, and got out. Kale carefully followed the scent, his camera lens ready in hand. Not for a photo, but for self-defense. He walked a short distance, and the sight before him stunned him. A female leopard lay motionless beneath a withered tree. Her fur was matted with blood, and one of her hind legs was caught in a large steel trap, cleverly camouflaged beneath dry leaves. Kale's heart clenched. It was Nyx. Her golden eyes were wide open, staring at him with extreme fear and pain. She didn't growl or try to attack, she just lay there, panting, exhausted, and helpless. This sturdy trap was designed for larger animals, like wildebeest, and it had crushed Nyx's leg. Kale's heart clenched. It was Nyx. Her golden eyes were wide open, staring at him with extreme fear and pain. She didn't growl or try to attack, she just lay there, panting, exhausted, and helpless. This sturdy trap was designed for larger animals, like wildebeest, and it had crushed Nyx's leg. Kale knew he had to act immediately. If he didn't help, Nyx wouldn't survive. But how do you approach an injured leopard, a fearsome predator, without making it attack in a panic? He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. He slowly placed his camera on the ground, raising his hands to show Nyx he meant no harm. He spoke in a gentle, low voice, as if talking to a friend. Nyx continued to stare at him, her eyes wary, but she didn't move. Kale took small, extremely slow steps. He pulled out a tranquilizer dart from his emergency kit. He always carried them to assist rangers when needed. He knew he didn't have much time. If the poachers returned, both he and Nyx would be in danger. As he got close enough, Kale gently used the dart gun to inject the tranquilizer into Nyx's shoulder. The leopard flinched but remained still. After a few minutes, her golden eyes began to droop, and she drifted into a deep sleep. Once Nyx was fast asleep, Kale quickly acted. He examined the wound. The trap had bitten deep into the bone, and Nyx's hind leg was severely injured. He knew he couldn't safely remove the trap and treat the injury thoroughly on his own. He needed professional help. Kale immediately radioed the ranger station. "I've found Nyx, the female leopard I've been tracking. She's caught in a trap in the dry tree area, near the river fork. Her hind leg is severely injured. I've tranquilized her. I need the veterinary team and a rescue vehicle urgently." His voice was strained but clear. While waiting, Kale did what he could. He used a clean cloth to stop the bleeding for Nyx, trying to clean the wound as gently as possible. He knew that Nyx's life was in his hands. He felt a strong urge to protect this vulnerable creature. About half an hour later, the sound of a Land Cruiser engine echoed from afar. It was the reserve's veterinary team, led by Dr. Anya Sharma, a wildlife specialist. When they arrived and saw Nix sleeping soundly under the tree, Dr. Anya quickly assessed her condition. The wound is quite deep. Kale, we need to get her to the clinic immediately for surgery, Dr. Anya said with a serious expression. The team gently placed Nix on a specialized stretcher and loaded her into the rescue vehicle. Kale went along, never taking his eyes off Nix for a second. At the reserve's clinic, the surgery was tense. Dr. Anya and her colleagues did their best to save Nix's leg. Kale stood outside the operating room, his heart pounding. He prayed, hoping Nix would pull through. After several hours, Dr. Anya emerged, her face tired but her eyes full of hope. We removed the trap and managed to save the leg. It will take a long time to recover, and she might not be able to hunt as effectively as before. But she survived. Kale sighed with relief, feeling as if a huge weight had been lifted from his chest. Nix was transferred to a separate enclosure for care and observation. Kale was the only one allowed to visit her. In the first few days, Nix was still weak and frightened. She growled whenever Kale approached. But Kale didn't give up. He patiently sat at a distance, speaking to her in a soft voice, reading books to her, and sometimes simply sitting in silence, allowing Nix to get used to his presence. He brought small toys made of natural materials for Nix to play with, and the freshest meat Dr. Anya allowed. Gradually, Nix began to change. She no longer growled. Instead, she would lift her head, her golden eyes staring at Kale. Sometimes, she would rub her head against the bars of the enclosure, as if seeking closeness. Kale felt a special bond forming between him and the leopard. He realized that Nix trusted him, a trust that couldn't be expressed in words. When Nix's wounds had fully healed and she began to walk again, though still with a slight limp, it was time to release her back into the wild. It was a difficult decision for Kale, but he knew it was what was best for Nix. Kale took Nix to a secluded area of the reserve, where there were many dense trees and abundant food sources. When the cage door was opened, Nix stepped out, hesitating for a moment. She turned her head, looked at Kale one last time, a deep and meaningful gaze. Then she disappeared into the bushes. In the following days, Kale felt an emptiness. He continued his work, but a part of his mind was always on Nix. He wondered if she could survive in the wild with her injured leg. Then one afternoon, as Kale was driving on a familiar dirt road, he suddenly saw a familiar spotted silhouette. It was Nix. She was sitting on a high rock, facing him. Kale stopped his vehicle. He didn't get out, just quietly observed. Nix didn't move either. She just sat there, looking at him, then slightly tilted her head. Kale smiled. He felt a warmth spread through him. Nix was okay, and she still remembered him. From then on, the story of Kale and Nix became a legend in the Samburu Reserve. Nix, while still maintaining her solitary nature, occasionally appeared before Kale on his patrol routes. She didn't hunt near him, didn't seek help, but simply made her presence known, like a reminder of the special connection between them. Once, when Kale was observing a herd of gazelles, he suddenly saw Nix appear at a safe distance, quietly lying down, observing with him. She made no sound, didn't interrupt Kale's work, but was simply a silent companion, a night's shadow, always watching over the sun's ray of kindness. The story of Kale and Nix has inspired many, from scientists to tourists. It proves that understanding and compassion can blur the lines between humans and wild animals, building a relationship based on mutual trust and respect. Kale continued his work, his camera lens still capturing the beauty of Samburu. But now, each frame carried a deeper meaning, a story of extraordinary friendship between a man and a leopard. Every time the sun sets, painting the African sky crimson, Kale looks up at the distant hills. He knows that somewhere, Nix is quietly moving in the shadows, a part of the wild nature he has sworn to protect. And in his heart, Kale knows that he is never alone on this journey.